He's back again. He steps up. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over.
Ooh, had the back door. Oh, Simmons threw it in reverse. Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here. Second and one. Here's Hughes giving it across. Oh, what a save!
Welcome back to the Broad Street Benchwarmers podcast, presented to you by Hungry Dog Sportsblog. If you haven't checked it out yet, the link is in the description. We're trying to crank out as much content as we can as this NBA bubble and this MLB season come along. So be sure to check it out. And yeah, it's great stuff. But here with me, as always, my boy Ethan. This is a somber day in Philadelphia fandom, and we're gonna get into it.
We thought we were just gonna talk about like the win over the Magic, which I didn't even see because the power went out where I am. But this is like a constant in Philly fandom is incapable medical staff and incapable trainers. Ben Simmons is basically done. So any aspirations of going anywhere in the playoffs are basically gone. Even though he kind of was a non-factor in most of the games, like especially the last ones, he just was in foul trouble and didn't really get much done. But it's really bad. Like he just adds a lot on both sides of the ball, even though he didn't really show up in most of those games. And now the whole team is messed up because we don't have depth to begin with, but now we'll have to start like. Would we start Furkan? And then like
no, we're gonna start.
Richardson
we'll probably start Horford. We'll run Horford at the 4 probably.
So it'd be like Shake, Richardson, Tobias, Horford.
Joe Horford, yeah.
And
which is still not great, but it's solid enough. The real thing is just the pace that Ben Simmons adds to this offense and his defensive, abilities.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about an all-NBA defensive team guy and a guy who, when Joel Embiid is running this offense, it does not work because of the inability. He needs the post-ups. We don't have the shooters to be able to work around that. So we've kind of worked into kind of this hybrid in which, you have Ben running it up the court and driving down the lane and combined with the Joel post-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how this is going to work now. I mean, we saw it last night against the Magic. There's still an inability to guard wing players that's even going to progress without Ben.
Mm-hmm.
It's depressing, like you said. It really is.
As happy I was that Shake hit that shot against San Antonio, I don't know. Just the big difference in this team is just Shake Milton is so inconsistent. Like
it is.
Like, was he actually that bad last night against Orlando?
Like, I wouldn't say he was. He was pretty bad. I will say that.
Okay.
DJ Augustine was just all over the place, especially in the paint and his ability to drive down the lane. And Shake, by the time he had so many fouls, they didn't even want to put him in the game in the final 3 minutes because we're going to get into it. The way Alec Burks performed last night was absolutely incredible. We're talking about a bench guy who we got for some second-round picks. That's got to be one of the best and, only good trades that Elton Brand has made so far in his tenure as Sixers GM. So, it's still definitely a question. And I don't know if you can play him valuable minutes in a playoff game with what we've seen so far. This is a guy who came out of the G League. This is his real first big experience. And I think Kemba Walker could easily, if DJ Augustine can do it, Kemba, there's the potential to drop like 40 there. And that's probably our first round matchup.
Yeah. And yeah, any hope that I had in this team is gone, to be honest.
I agree.
Because we are such an aggressive defensive team, but we're also so we have like no discipline, and there's so much foul trouble that most of our guys have been in, and then we have to take them out for like 10 minutes at a time.
Exactly.
So
Jay Rich last night,
yeah.
Ben
So
these
so
3
even
games.
so, would we lose actual firepower without our, which is our debatably our best player, then
Yo,
what are we supposed to do? Like,
yeah.
it's a lost season at this point. Like, if they go on a run, wow, I will be extremely surprised if they manage to take Boston to even like 6 games.
Then I'll be shocked.
That would be, I would be shocked. I would not say it's a success because this has been a
Nah.
disaster of a season.
Overall, I mean, all in all, I don't know what you do this offseason either.
Yeah.
The thing with this team, what we saw as a bright spot in the offseason, which has now, slowly turned on us, is everybody seems to be locked up for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not much you can really do besides add depth on the bench. If these guys are going to continue to be sustaining injuries and this lineup is going to continue to not be able to mesh together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're looking at what could be 4 years of, looking similar to, I'd say, 2016, 2017 Toronto
Mm-hmm.
Raptors, as sad as that sounds, I mean, it's awful.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we look at these past games, yeah, they've been wins, but
They're not that impressive.
no, they haven't been. I'd say the most impressive was last night, probably the best caliber team. But even the first half, I still thought we were going to lose that game. Joel was not able to step up in the early minutes. The announcers were talking about it. Chuck was talking about it. He was not at a physical level able to keep up with Vucevic. And, I mean, if he continues to put on those performances in what will be a seemingly intense and rough playoff matchup against Boston, I can't see it going past 5 games either, to be honest. And Joel Embiid, we know what he's capable of. These other, against the Spurs and against the Wizards, against Pacers, and throughout his career, he has shown his ability to be able to truly take over a game and arguably the best center in basketball. But this is his moment to step up and show that he is mature enough and a leader enough and, good enough to carry this team and put it on his back.
And if you look at the box scores for all these games, it looks like he's been dominating, but
it does.
If you watch the game from beginning to end, he's looked really sluggish. He's kind of looked out of shape. The defense is basically non-existent. And
I like what he did against Washington and parts of that San Antonio game. I really do. When Joe gets a post up or when Joe is given the ability to drive down the lane, that's where Joe thrives. Yeah. But we also have to look at the amount of threes he's taken, the amount of bad mid-range shots he's taken. And teams like the Celtics and teams like the Raptors are going to force you to take those shots. So, he's got to have the ability to step up and still be able to not only create opportunities for himself in the lane, but improve from those areas.
Yeah, and all the post fades from the sides are always really pointless, and especially whenever he's just getting back onto the offense, onto the side of the offense, and just gets the ball at the 3-point line, just chucks it up without setting his feet. It's just unacceptable, and I can genuinely not give you a bright spot on this team that applies to the entirety of the team. There's some good offensive players, some good defensive players, but
I don't know. Alec Burks, man. Alec Burks has been great on both ends.
Yeah, sure, but I meant as a general statement, this team is not consistent on either side of the ball.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And
I'd agree.
like Tobias Harris has been the bright spot of this offense, and that's saying something, considering you have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and Josh Richardson and
And
God,
even he hasn't been fantastic on the defensive end. I mean, that Pacers game, part of that TJ Warren responsibility was on him. Same thing with DeMar DeRozan in the second game and Troy Brown Jr. in the third. So, I mean, there's just, I mean, there's a lot of blame we can throw around, but at the end of the day,
it's a team effort.
yeah, it's not only a team effort, but it's a team that needs to come together down the stretch. I mean, we've got 4 games left, and we have no idea what the identity of this team is going to be. They played mediocre against mediocre competition. Their only real competition was Indiana, who was missing 2 starters, and they got blown out. So we really don't know what to expect, and what we do expect is not great.
Because on paper, we should have crushed San Antonio, Washington, and Orlando, but they're underperforming, and even without Ben Simmons, I'll go into the playoffs just thinking in my head, hopefully the Flyers do something, because this team, man, it brings us such pain to talk about. I don't know why
it does. You can hear us. I mean,
we're just so defeated.
Exactly. And we went on this podcast and we were preaching hope. Maybe this team can make a run at it. They're finally healthy, and then this hits, and it's the same team. It really is.
It's like
I'm mad at myself for thinking any different.
We literally said it's up to Ben Simmons stepping up, and then he pops his knee.
Exactly.
And the report said he's only back if we make a deep playoff run, and we have as much of a chance as that as the Phillies making the World Series.
Yeah.
Because if a team without Ben Simmons makes it past the second round, but a team with Jimmy Butler and a mildly capable Joel Embiid and a good Ben Simmons.
Shooters. I mean, JJ Redick.
JJ Redick is this team needs, but
exactly.
We'd rather pay for Al Horford.
Okay.
I'm
not talk
saying
about Al Horford.
I mean, we should, because if you look at the box score, he's been a non-factor for most of the games. Because against Indiana, 10 points, 6 rebounds, it's okay. And then the San Antonio game, 9 points, 6 rebounds, it's okay. Washington, 2 points, 10 rebounds, pretty bad. And then against the Magic, he had a decent game. He had 21 points, 9 rebounds. I didn't watch the game. I mean, is it similar to the Joel situation where the stats just look good, but on the floor he's just a disaster?
Look, Al Horford was fine last night. There were good Al Horford plays last night where I looked at it. He was, especially the first quarter, he was great at finishing down the lane. He provided an offensive spark early that we needed. At the same time, watching this man basically do a Joel and sit at the top of the key and not even set his feet and just shoot these awful threes, which, I mean, I can't even count how many times I saw a wide open Josh Richardson or a wide open Shake Milton, and he's taking these just god awful shots. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's he shooting? Again, 32%. It's frustrating. But defensively, he was good last night also, and I think that's going to be important down the stretch.
That's what we paid for.
Exactly.
We can get it when it actually matters. Sure, but geez, it is not panning out very well.
No.
At all.
No.
But
and like we said, it's not very tradable. 4
Nobody
years
wants to
you're
pick up
locked
that
in.
contract. Yeah.
No, exactly. Oh, it's depressing.
God, I'm so miserable right now. I don't even feel like keep on talking about this. But we're gonna
A lighthearted
Move on
topic.
to stuff that doesn't affect us to a point where we're just kind of letting it happen. Like the 8th seed in the West.
Yup.
It's surprisingly close. We thought Memphis had it in the bag. I had no expectations for the Trailblazers or the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs haven't been good. The Pelicans have been underperforming, and
Yeah.
Phoenix has surprised everybody. Portland's
Exactly.
only a game back from the 8th seed, and as of now, I'm pretty sure they're beating the Clippers, so they could hypothetically tie it right now. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Melo's back, Nurkic is back, Gary Trent's popping off.
It just, I mean, the production from their forwards and their paint scorers has just been so substantial compared to what they got in the regular season that, I mean, this team is definitely a team that could take a team like the Lakers to a 7-game series with the way they've played so far. And Damian Lillard has showed once again that he has the ability to not only take control of a game. I mean, what he's done so far has been taking control of the season, putting it in his hands, and forcing this Blazers team into the playoffs. We know the NBA doesn't want this Blazers team in the playoffs. We know they want Zion or Ja, but this is going to be fun if they force their way in. And I mean, I think LeBron and AD should be scared.
Yeah. Because I mean, we'll get to it in a second, but this Lakers team does not look great.
Now,
But I think Portland. Yeah, I think this Portland team is just running off of so much momentum that honestly, they could take a team like either LA team, to be honest, to 6-7 games. And again, I don't think they'll really get past them, but they'll definitely like wake them up, I guess, because I can't imagine the Lakers like getting clamped up by the Portland Trailblazers at all. Like I can't see anybody defending LeBron or Anthony Davis on that team.
but at the same time,
they're a lot more well-rounded.
This team looks more motivated as well and more well-rounded. I mean, the Lakers.
They're probably the most top-heavy team.
Yeah, exactly.
You've seen in a while.
You got Rondo on Damian Lillard. You got, I guess, Danny Green on.
I mean, Danny Green's a decent enough defender, but he's kind of not looking great. He's kind of like not shooting the ball very well.
Exactly.
And so, I guess like who's going to be on CJ, like him or
Danny
like
Green.
Danny Green or KCP.
And then Rondo on Dame, which is going to be
like Kuz on Melo.
Horrible. Exactly. Which still, I mean, Kyle Kuzma is a good enough defender, and Anthony Davis. I mean,
but Carmelo's looked great. He
has.
He's been hitting those shots that he's been known to make, like 5 years ago.
Exactly.
It's the revival of Carmelo Anthony's career, and it'll suck if he doesn't get that ring, but
I mean, I felt so not gonna get in Houston now. I thought he was done.
Yeah. It seemed like the Dwayne Wade on the Cavs eclipse of his career.
Exactly.
He's impressed me. He's impressed the whole league. I will be the first one to say I wrote him off the second that he said, "Oh, I'm back. I'm going to the Blazers. I'm wearing number 00." I'm like,
me too.
Because it was a lost season for the Blazers anyway. Like I expected them to be one of the higher seeds considering how they played in that playoff run last year. And then now they're barely fighting for that 8 seed because there were so many injuries. Like Zach Collins has been out.
Yeah.
And then I think Dame was out for a little bit. CJ, and then obviously Nurkic just came back during this bubble. But
and that's just the fantastic thing about this bubble. I mean, these teams that had the potential and suffered, the walls that are coming the way during the regular season. I mean, they have a new opportunity to compete, and I think this Blazers team does look like the team, not even the playoffs last year, but during the regular season last year, that dominated with, again, Nurkic, grabbing boards and ability to finish offensively, and their two stars performing on a nightly basis. So I'm happy for Portland fans, and I'm excited. I'm legitimately excited for this team.
Yeah, like Nurkic actually looked great, and
Yeah,
you still get leverage with like Whiteside, I guess, like coming off the bench, which is crazy. But
it is. I know.
because
I
I
mean,
mean, I
he's
guess
been great this
that
season.
contract is big, but
It is.
we know a thing or two about big men coming off the bench with a huge contract. So we're not gonna.
Whiteside looks a lot better though.
Yeah.
He has revived his career a little bit, especially his rebounding numbers. I mean, his later days in Miami that was some unbearable basketball, but he looks a lot better. I mean,
Well, I guess we'll go into Memphis because I think honestly they're done because they lost their second best player, Jaren Jackson.
I think
And
first best.
oh,
To be
you think he's
honest,
better than Ja?
I think he's
I mean,
better
yeah,
than Ja.
I think he's
He's
been
best
playing better than Ja because I mean Ja's been pretty shaky in the
Yeah,
bubble. But I mean, I would still if I was told, oh, dude, you want to have Triple J on your team, or would you want?
I agree for the
Ja? I would
future.
say
I think
Ja,
for
but like,
right now, I think the production Jaren Jackson has been putting out this
yeah.
bubble and during the regular season. I mean, he's looked like a premier forward for the future.
Yeah, but yeah, just the injuries are a bit of a question mark for me. But other than that, this team, I think Portland has their number. I think they're going to take that 8 seed
I agree.
because, again, Ja doesn't look great, and then they just don't have enough firepower like a Portland to actually make the playoffs without Jaren Jackson. I mean, Dylan Brooks is good. Valanciunas has been good enough.
But like Anthony Tolliver was in the starting lineup yesterday.
Wow.
Anthony Tolliver. Like
And
that's what these
then,
injuries have
yeah,
done.
when you have to have Grayson Allen drop 20 for you to beat the Pelicans, then they lost to the Pelicans, but like
They lost to the Pelicans.
yeah, but when you need 20 points from Grayson Allen to even compete in a game, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as a UNC fan. I'm just saying that as a basketball fan because Grayson Allen is not very
He's
good
not
at
good at
basketball.
basketball. He just trips people.
Yeah, that's what it'll be known for. It'll never be good for like. It'll never be known for making shots. It'll be known for that.
For tripping people.
But
I
speaking of
mean,
making shots, we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns because Devin Booker is
a walking bucket.
Yeah, this is embarrassing for the NBA because
It is.
Because Devin Booker, as good as he is, he could be an All NBA player if he was on a good team.
Yo.
But that is the big problem. You could say he has good players.
Bender.
Yeah, he has good players around him. Like DeAndre Ayton's look good.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people have clowned the pick because I think he's older than Devin Booker. Cameron Johnson has looked decent enough.
I mean, I guess he's an okay shooter.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges still has clamps, and he's actually kind of gotten the offense together. Ricky Rubio, kind of a god.
He is. He's a fantastic passer.
Yeah.
He's been good on the defensive end. He opens up all kinds of things for Booker. I am shocked. And even the regular season, he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think we shouldn't be too surprised with his performance. But really with the performance of this team, with the talent differential between them and the teams they beat, I mean, they beat the Clippers for God's sake.
And
the team we called the best team in basketball.
The fact that we're scared about them in a couple of days is indicative of our situation.
It is
because we were supposed to have championship aspirations, but when we are competing,
Phoenix team is hard, and we don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
they have some fight. They have fight in them, and we have we have laziness. So
exactly, we have Al Horford.
Because I mean, they're still 2.5, 3 games away from the 8 seed.
But if they can force that play-in tournament, there's a decent shot with the way they're playing. I mean, I would love to see them play Portland. I really would.
Yeah.
I would love to see Booker versus McCollum and how that matchup is going to go. I think that would be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think they're playing Miami tonight, which actually, going into the bubble, we thought the Suns were done. We thought they'd be terrible. Look at Adam's article.
I put them last.
He said, yeah, they're last, like a 1-7
Exactly.
record, and they are like what 4-0, 5-0 at this point.
Yup. And they have a rough schedule coming up.
Yeah,
But
I think they have Miami tonight, and then OKC, us the Sixers, and then the Mavericks. Those are all losable games.
yup. But if they continue to play it the way they
you never
have,
know.
the Heat don't have Jimmy Butler.
Mhm.
OKC looked like bad yesterday against Memphis. I mean, the 3-guard lineup, or 2-guard, because Dennis Schroeder wasn't even playing, kind of killed them. Us, obviously, we have talked about how we're playing. Yeah,
we've complained
Dallas,
enough for you to realize.
Yeah, that we're bad. And Dallas, Luka, I mean,
he's been on a tear, but
yeah, but not much around him has looked great, to be honest. And so I think they can win that game too. If they continue to play the way they have, there is an opportunity, as crazy as it sounds and ridiculous, for them to possibly go even like 7-1. I truly believe that.
That's insane. But
It's absolutely.
we're going to talk about the opposite. So, New Orleans Pelicans. What a disaster of a team. Even though we just talked about the Sixers, they're up there in terms of disasters. Yeah, this is pretty bad.
Zion may be the most frustrating top NBA prospect that I have seen come out in quite some time. Just the hype coming into this, I'm sure the NBA is incredibly upset with the way they're performing because, honestly, I mean, he has looked, you said it the other day.
Oh, my God.
He has looked like Shaq on the Celtics.
he's just looked like a bowling ball, and
exactly.
That's all of his game at this point.
Exactly.
Because
he's been awful on the defensive end. He hasn't been able to keep up with anybody. This is a guy who was guarding guards months ago. I mean, the conditioning is just off, and I think for me, that itself is indicative of this organization, the way Alvin Gentry is running it.
Yeah, just resting him all these games. He was out for 4 months, and he's 20 years old. And he's supposed to. The only reason this playoff has been expanded is just to have Zion in there, and they don't even play him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, what the management, and I mean the sets he puts out on the court sometimes. I mean, we've got Nickel Melly playing full minutes.
Good Lord.
And I mean, you have young players. You have to be able to handle it. And to his credit, he's handled it well so far. But I honestly think with the way the fans have reacted, this playoff bubble run, if they can't get it done, this could cost him his job.
Yeah, I mean, he's an okay coach, but he's not. If they want to go anywhere and want to develop Zion into what they expected, and they still have to pay Brandon Ingram because he's a restricted free agent, and then I know a lot of teams are going to throw bags at him. So
I think they'll still be able to keep him.
Yeah, they'll probably match the offers, but it'll affect the cap a lot because.
But I mean, Brandon Ingram hasn't looked great either.
Yeah, and they still have bad contracts on the team, like Derek Favors, and as much as we love him, they kind of overpaid for JJ a little bit. I think
they did.
15 mil, which is absurd. Like,
they need that veteran leadership, but he's gonna start regressing. Like that's meant to happen, especially with the way he plays. He's all over the floor. That's his whole game. And so when you get to 36 years old, that's when these guards start breaking down. Yeah. I mean, it has the potential to be really bad. Yeah,
because as we said, Ingram doesn't look great. They're gonna pay him anyways, but. Again, this team is just the definition of a shrug. There's like
exactly,
because I mean, we went into this bubble saying, oh, we get to see the Pelicans, we get to see Zion back healthy, and then they're just, oh, you know what, we're just gonna sit him for the last 10 minutes against the Jazz, and then
Well, to an extent, though, I mean, Zion, when he's on the court, like I said, has looked sluggish.
Yeah.
And not at all like a superstar, to be honest. I mean, the ability to finish is still there sometimes, but we're in a league right now where we're talking about stretch fours who, while not the biggest, are still, I mean, the most athletic we've seen ever. And so if we've got a 360-pound Zion Williamson playing defense against them and trying to create shots against them, he's not going to be able to. And so I think this offseason is where you really need to get to him in a way that the Sixers haven't been able to.
Yeah, with Ben Simmons or Joel.
Yeah, and force him to,
get it back together.
Get in shape. Because when he is in shape, as we saw, I mean, he wasn't totally in shape during the regular season, but more in shape. That team was fantastic. And, there's definitely potential there. They've still got a lot of young guys. Lonzo, I still believe in. Ingram, I obviously still believe in. He's an all-star. Josh Hart is a good shooting guy off the bench. I mean, there's potential there. They just gotta harness it.
Yeah, it's really annoying because even though I despise Duke Blue Devils with all of my heart, Zion is one of the more likable. He's basically on superstar level at this point already.
Yes, yeah.
I don't want to hesitate to blame it on him, but how the Pelicans have handled this season, they used to be. They were a fun. I'm not gonna say they used to be because they could bring it back at some point. But they are one of the more fun young teams to watch in this league, and then they decide, you know what, we're just going to be bad in the bubble. That would be pretty fun. Let's
exactly. We were excited to see Zion play LeBron in the first round. As much as we talk about how, the NBA is conspiring against all the other teams and blah, 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 we would have taken Zion and LeBron in the first round.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
True happiness. Yeah. So it is disappointing to see a team this talented not be able to put it together.
And then finally, I think they're above Phoenix and New Orleans. Spurs are 2 games back, but they're not good. They're not a good basketball team.
I mean, they're a lot better than I thought they would be, though.
Yeah.
This is a team that I thought would be totally out of it. And they have looked, DeMar DeRozan has stepped up in a way he needed to. Derek White is having a great bubble season. I think he's averaging 26 per game, and for a young player of his caliber, I mean, that's fantastic. DeJounte Murray, who everybody knows I love, has been good defensively. And, I mean, this is a team that took us to almost overtime. What was a battered Utah team. But...
the fact that Shake Milton got us out of a game against this team speaks volumes. But
it does. But at the same time, I mean, this team has been playing, probably the best basketball it's played all season without their star player. They're motivated. They're fighting for the 8 seed. This is a Greg Popovich team, so we knew they were going to come in ready to go. And, who says they don't have a shot at, maybe knocking out a New Orleans or even a Memphis in this playing tournament? Never know.
So we'll go into we'll go to the East now. The Miami Heat. They God, if they what seed are they right now? Are they 4th?
They're the 4th seed.
But assuming we don't climb up and they stay where they are, we're getting swept. I'm sorry.
Yep.
We're getting swept. I think we're gonna get swept by Boston or Miami, but this is not looking good at all.
I think Boston goes to 5. I'm more scared of Miami than I am Boston right now. Because I thought before this started, the matchups between these us and them were an advantage to them because of the amount of, these young guys that can shoot the ball are absolutely fantastic. The Duncan Robinsons, the Tyler Heroes, the Kendrick Nunns. And, I mean, Bam could put some clamps on Joe. He could.
Definitely. Even though he's a
Has
little smaller,
he is
he can he is a lot more physical. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd say he's a lot more motivated and physical, and a lot better on the defensive side than Joel Embiid.
I wouldn't say
and
Ben.
this will be the Jimmy Butler revenge series. Like, come on.
It will be. Yeah.
He will Josh Richardson or Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah. Matisse, I think Matisse can put clamps on him. Jay Rich's defense has not been good, though.
Yeah.
He is, I mean, last night he let Evan Fournier score 22. That should be.
Yeah. Other than a few moments, I think Matisse Thybulle has kind of disappointed me. Even though he's one of my favorite players in the team, he just kind of been.
And favorite
kind of been there. Kind of like a TJ McConnell, to be honest. But,
really?
Yeah.
Really? No, I mean
because the offense is just not there.
Yeah.
We have to address it.
Not there yet.
Yeah.
I think if he can continue, his shot is good when he takes it. If he can continue to develop that 3-point shot, he can be great. And I mean, I told you before we recorded this, last night he was great on the defensive end. He had this play where he got the steal from James Ennis and just went all the way full length of the court and dunked it, and he looked fantastic. Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously potential there. There's potential for Richardson, too, as well. I mean, he's 25. These are young pieces that can develop for this team. Yeah. It's just the 4 stars that are frustrating. But as far as Miami,
they're ridiculous.
Yeah. For them to improve, I mean, they look better than they did during the regular season, even during that hot stretch they had at the beginning. To be taking it to teams like full-strength Milwaukee, who needed basically a huge comeback and a carry from Giannis in order to beat them, to teams like Boston, who are at full strength with Jason Tatum. I mean, it's terrifying, to be honest. And I think they have the potential to take down a Milwaukee or a Toronto and get to the finals. I don't know if they can beat a Lakers.
No way.
They can, just because of the talent differential, and these young guys don't have that experience. But it's terrifying, and it's terrifying for the future too, because this is a team that has cap space going into next year, could get a Giannis.
Oh my!
I mean, imagine that.
If everything stays the same, and like no ridiculous like Kawhi and PG to the Clippers moves, then we are a 4th or 5th place team in the East for a while.
Yeah.
Unless Ben Simmons turns into a ridiculous all-around player, like he can make his threes, he can stay healthy, he can and he can clamp up consistently, even though he does do that. But then he actually, I don't know, if it's literally just get the shot and you're a top 10 player in the league. Like, I'm sorry, like I just have to say that. It's
encouraging that he was taking them in the bubble.
Yeah,
that's part of what makes this Ben Simmons thing so frustrating.
Yeah,
is that it looked like there was potential for him to improve across these bubble games, and we know he wasn't satisfied and did not show fully what he was able to do. So, I mean, gotta look towards next season, I guess. I hope we have that deep playoff run, but
it's not looking.
It's looking. I mean, if I were to put numbers on it, I'd say 5%.
Let's see. I would say Milwaukee is like a 40% chance, and then Toronto is like a 25.
Yeah.
Then I'll give Miami and Boston the same
20.
chance, and then we have the same chance as like Indiana, like it's that sad.
Yep.
When going into the season, if you told me that we would be as good as the Indiana Pacers, I would have just walked away, because
we thought we were the 2 seed.
Yeah, we thought we were
We thought
better
we were
than
the 2 seed.
Toronto, better than Miami, and then we are miles worse than either of those teams.
It's
and we're not going to get into Brett Brown because a lot of people like to blame it on him. As much as I despise him as a coach,
I don't know. I
and
mean,
I don't even know who would you replace him with, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, some of these sets before Ben was hurt, when Joe and Al were on the floor. I talked about it in the other podcast we recorded, which will never see the light of day.
Yeah, because we recorded before the Washington and Orlando game, and before Ben Simmons decided, you know what, I'm just gonna like kill the Sixers season. Like, how about that? Is that a great idea?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, putting Joel and Al on the floor when you promised not to do that was frustrating in these first 2 games. Now that you're forced to do it, I understand it. And not playing Alec Burks the amount of minutes, playing Furkan Korkmaz a ton over him, I felt was kind of stupid, because Furkan, as much as we love him, has not been fantastic this bubble. But I don't know, man. It's just, there's so much turmoil for this team. It's to think, I missed 2 years ago when
we didn't really
was developing and Joe was, finally reaching his potential, and it sucks. But moving on, another team that's struggling. A lot of teams that are struggling we're putting on here. Is this just to make us feel better?
Yeah, it's just a little like if the best team in basketball is not living up to expectations, then that kind of makes us feel a little less bad.
It does. We are, of course, talking about the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James, who have not looked fantastic this bubble at all. Losing to OKC, I think it was 2 days ago now. A close game against Utah, which they could have definitely lost. A loss to Houston, though they were missing LeBron. They, despite the obvious talent of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, nobody's really come through so far in this bubble, I feel like. AD's had some decent games. LeBron had that clutch final 5 minutes against the Clippers, but not much. But this bench has looked, at times almost unplayable. Guys like J.R. Smith and especially Dwight Howard, who had a fantastic regular season, has been disappointing. But this does not look like the number 1 seed right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And
because even though the Clippers are let me check the score right now, because we're recording this as the Blazers game is happening.
Last time I checked, Portland was winning.
Yeah, they're up by 5 in the fourth quarter. So again, the Clippers aren't looking great, but if you compare how they've played and the resurgence of Paul George, which is weird to say because an MVP candidate kind of fell off, and now he is stepping up, and everybody's back. Zubac has looked decent. I don't know why I'm saying that.
After that Clippers game, after that Lakers game.
And now you have the Will back after his shenanigans. And
he needed those wings.
Yeah, and then Kawhi is doing his thing still. And I don't know. They're a better team than they have the depth that the Lakers don't have. And they have a better starting 5 than the Lakers, even though if you look at that game, how LeBron clamped him up at the end. If you told me to pick one of the 2 teams, I would say Clippers in like 7.
Yeah, I can see it. I just
even though they have been the Chargers to the Lakers Rams for like the past however long.
I still think though. We're talking about LeBron James and
Anthony Davis.
Guys who, I know Kawhi's always been clutch in the playoffs, but these guys have showed time and time again. AD carrying his team, putting it on his back to get past I think it was.
They
Was it
swept
Portland? It was Portland.
swept
Yeah,
Portland as like
yeah.
the 6th
And that
seed.
Warriors series, which he looked good in.
Yeah.
LeBron, obviously, we don't even need to talk about it. All I need to say is 2018, 2013. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I mean,
putting terrible teams on his back.
exactly.
Like
I mean,
the year
well,
without
not 2013. That was Miami, but
to 26. No, yeah,
it was
2018.
2010.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like those teams starting like Kyle Korver and like Shumpert and like
exactly.
no Kevin Love and Kyrie and like
Exactly.
actually taking probably one of the best teams we've seen in a while to a series is beyond me. But
I was watching that Toronto game the other night. Cavs, Raptors, DeRozan and Lowry. This is the year they were the 1 seed, and it's the first game. And I mean, he just takes over in the final 3 minutes. He, scores like I think it's like a 6-0 run, and then he has that final shot where over OG. It's terrifying that I mean, we're only 2 years removed from that. We have to remember. I know that was a disappointing season last season with the Lakers, his first season, but this is still LeBron James. This is still the second best player ever to play basketball, and I fully believe that he can take control of this series despite Kawhi Leonard being an all defensive team, just because I mean it's a different animal.
Cause playoff LeBron is terrifying, and as much
Exactly.
as terrifying as playoff Kawhi is, just if you have 2 top 5 players in the league, you have no reason not to be in the finals.
Yeah, even with the team around them. I mean,
the team around them is mediocre, but I know this is a very well-rounded NBA now compared to the past. But
it is. But still, LeBron James.
And even though Anthony Davis isn't known for being like that premier whatever, like playoff performer, despite like we said like that Portland series a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think this team is, even though they have been a little bit shaky in the bubble, I would not be surprised if they go all the way. I don't want to count them out. There's no reason to count them out. Like you're an idiot. You're an idiot. If I'm not going to say it, you're an idiot if you think the Lakers are done.
Yep, exactly. Because I mean, experienced guys.
Yeah, and you have decent enough veterans on your team, like Dwight Howard off the bench. You have Danny Green.
Dwight Howard was great in the regular season. We forget that.
You have like Avery Bradley, even though KCP sucks.
Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley's not there. He's not there. But like, you have okay players. You're not. Your depth is not as bad as ours.
Exactly. Oh God.
Anyways,
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Sorry for the delay for a little bit because we a lot of stuff happened between when we recorded this episode and now, so we're re-recording it.
Yeah, it's just been a lot of stuff happening, but I mean, we're excited as this NBA season goes on. We're gonna keep trying to give you guys, our thoughts on these things. This is gonna be, as we approach the playoffs, it's huge, and we're looking to continue this.
Yep. Well, thank you, and